Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Monday, December the 9th, 2024. Just forgive my voice, got a little bit of a head cold. Don't you just hate that? Although it's probably better to get it now than when I was actually away, but it really pisses me off because I never get sick. And not that I'm sick, I've got a head cold, big deal. I'll get over it, but it's just annoying because I'm too busy to get sick. Anyway, what better way to get over it than to get out in the nice Mount Macedon weather and shake it off. I've got my hoodie on today. It's a little bit mild, but I thought I'll put the hoodie on and just try and sweat it out a little bit. But it is what it is. Plenty of people with more to worry about than a bloody man flu. Anyway, the fights yesterday. Look, you would have seen, or hopefully you've seen my review. I did that straight after the fight yesterday, so check that out. It's on this YouTube channel. I'll go over, I won't sort of to the length I did yesterday, because if you've watched it you don't want to hear about it again, but I suppose just to reflect on a little bit. I did say yesterday I think Liam and his team would really rue the chances they missed yesterday. I thought that, look, Hitchins really fought a great fight. He did. He fought a very controlled fight, stuck to the game plan very well. I just don't think Liam did. He won 3 of the first 4 rounds. Could have even won all 4. He started really well. I thought the range that he had, the counter punches, what he was looking, you could sort of see what he was looking to do is let Hitchins jab and then come over the back with either a right jab or a right hook, and try and counter him that way. And he did have some success early, and just the pressure that he put on really unsettled Hitchins. But then when both sort of guys settled into the groove of the fight around the 5th round, you could just see that Liam really struggled to go with Hitchins. And just, again, I won't go over too much, but I'll just go over the key points. But just to me, really looked like Liam didn't have the plan B. Hitchins did. Now, when they both came out with their plan A's, and that would have been for Hitchins to be on the back foot, let Liam come to him, throw the jab, counter him with the right hand, all that sort of stuff. Liam's plan A was to obviously be in and out and really make Hitchins second guess where he's going to be, and he did that quite well, as I said, for those first 4 rounds. But then when Hitchins kicked into plan B, he had success, because what he started to do then was time Liam with the hops or the skips, whatever it might be, in and out, and was probing him with the jab, setting him up, and then when Liam would come in, he would bang him with that right hand, and had a lot of success. The issue from Liam's point of view was that he did not have a plan B after that, because he really didn't alter his game plan to effectively counter what Hitchins was doing. So that's probably, look, maybe they did have a plan, excuse me, maybe they did have a plan B, and maybe Liam was a bit fatigued. Maybe Hitchins was a better fighter than what they thought. I don't know. I mean, normally in these big fights, you do try and go in with a plan A, B, C, and D, but it just looked like yesterday Liam really struggled to get out of that sort of second gear once the second phase of the fight came in. Because in these 12 rounders, you've probably got 3, excuse me, there's probably 3, and I don't know what Neil's doing. I think he's doing this on purpose, leading me through the trees. It's not sort of normally 3 phases of the fight, sometimes 4, but normally I think it's 3. You've got the first 4 rounds where both guys are fresh, both guys are, at the peak, I suppose you'd call it, and super sharp and everything. And then you've got the second 4 rounds, or the second third of the fight, where, as I said, like both guys settle into the groove, and that's sort of when you see what both guys have got for the plan Bs. And then you go into the third third of the fight, which is where it comes down to a lot more than just game plan. It comes down to obviously heart, comes down to maybe a plan C, it comes down to changing things mid-fight that you hadn't planned on. A lot of things come into it. And I just think that Hitchins was able to do that yesterday. After that first 4 rounds, the second 4 rounds, he upped the pace, won the next 4 rounds, I thought. And then the last 4 rounds of the fight, it was probably Liam's opportunity to then go again in that last stage of the fight, but he just couldn't. And he sort of, look, it's hard to explain because you're not in there, I suppose, but I just thought he let Hitchins, who was starting to struggle with fatigue around that time, and that's the other thing about the third part of the fight, or the last 4 rounds of the fight, is, you know, it's more just about technique and game plan. As I said, it comes down to heart. And I just thought in the 9th round, I thought Liam might have scraped the 9th round, and I thought he had a real opportunity to really come home and win the last couple of rounds. It was either fatigued or just couldn't pull the trigger. I don't know, but I thought Liam lost the last 3 rounds, and even though he said he did come home in his mind strong, I don't think it was enough to get anywhere near it. And I just thought that Hitchins won, 7 if not 8 rounds of the fight. So actually it might have been, what did I say, I had it 8 rounds to 4. So yeah, it was just a frustrating day, and I know you guys out there would have been doing the same. Liam, things like, you need to cut him off, you need to get him side, you need to throw more punches, you need to throw more power punches. There's lots of things that were sort of going through my head. But again, I said yesterday that I just thought that to get away from the plan B I would have maybe implemented would have been, rather than the bouncing in and out and getting countered by Hitchins, is to maybe stop the bouncing in and out and start to be a bit more flat-footed and really put it on Hitchins, where it's not coming down to a bit of like a chess match that it had been for the previous few rounds. Let's get it inside and in the trenches, and let's see what Hitchins is made of inside, with his ticker. And I just don't think Liam really at any stage had him in those deep waters where maybe he was reaching for a little extra Hitchins. I thought that Liam just allowed him to sort of run his own race and pick him off, counter him, rest when he needed to rest. And look, again, it's so easy, we're all experts after the fight, I get that, but I'm sure they'll be looking at it, because I've got no doubt Liam can beat Hitchins. I was convinced yesterday, even though I thought Hitchins won the fight clearly. I just thought it was a few little tweaks here and there that I think Liam, if he made, he could beat Hitchins. And it might be little things like, let's not try and, outbox Hitchins and get into that chess match that I spoke about. Let's put it on him. Let's do what we did in the first 4 rounds, and with those beautiful counters, he won those 3 or 4 of those first rounds. And then after that, let's get inside and really make Hitchins dig deep and see what he has, and really see what he's got, as I said, ticker wise. So that's the plan I will be saying to implement in the rematch, if there is one. I've got a feeling that maybe won't. I think they'll go their separate ways. It wasn't close enough, I wouldn't have thought, even though it was a split decision. I'll get to that in a sec. But you would think that Liam will come back to Australia, maybe have a fight here, or maybe overseas, whatever it is. But I think he'll have a tune-up fight. You would think that George Kambosos will have a tune-up fight or a comeback fight. And you would think that both guys, I think, in the second half of 2025 will fight each other. And the winner of that will move on, and the loser will have to reevaluate where they're at. So I still think the fight happens. I still think it's a big fight. Not a massive fight. I know... Look, I think as far as boxing fans goes, yes, it is a massive fight, but to the masses out there and to the casuals, it's really just an everyday type of fight, and that's probably what's wrong with Australian boxing at the moment. In that we have these fantastic world-class fighters who just aren't even known and aren't followed by the general public, like say a Tim Tszyu is. So, but yeah, I think that's the fight down the track. As for Hitchins, I know afterwards he did call out Teofimo Lopez. That's a good fight. I think that's a really good fight. I think I would back Teofimo Lopez to win that fight. I think style-wise, this is again what it comes down to. You hear a lot when people say styles make fights. Yesterday was a classic example. Excuse me. And I think Teofimo Lopez's style would be very effective against Hitchins' style, because I think he would be able to implement what I was saying that I would have hoped that Liam implemented yesterday. So that's a good fight. Of course, we've got Devin Haney still around. We don't know what he's going to do. He'll probably have a comeback fight first, you would think. Although at his stage, or the stage he's at in his career, you would think that he would maybe just jump straight into another big fight if Hitchins wants it, or someone else wants it, that he might just jump back into a fight with one of those guys, maybe a Valenzuela or one of those types of guys. So there's some options out there, and the 140-pound division still got plenty of big names and big fights there. Also yesterday, I thought actually on that as well, I thought the undercard was really good. I must admit, I've gotten over, maybe it's my age, I don't know, but I've gone past the days of sitting there for 4 hours or something now, just watching undercard fights. I used to do it all the time, but I must admit, I took the opportunity yesterday. I had the DAZN. I've got 3 screens on my desk, so I had DAZN going on one. I just was doing some work, catching up while I was away, and I just sort of had it going in the background there, and I didn't really watch a lot of it except for maybe the last fight. But yeah, I've sort of gone to the days where I can sit there and just sit there for 4 hours, especially on a nice Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning it was, yeah. So I know a lot of the boxing fans will sit there all day and watch them, but as I said, I'm getting old where I just can't sit there for all that time just watching, unless it's probably a Riyadh card. They're probably a little bit different. The problem with them though, of course, is they're on at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and again, old fellas like myself find it hard to get up at around 3 o'clock in the morning and function the next day. So anyway, I thought it was a good day of fights from what I've seen anyway. The other fight yesterday was Navarrete and Valdez. I didn't watch the fight live. All I could get after the fight was a highlights package. It'll probably come up today, the full fight, so I might watch it, although it did seem like it was all pretty much one-way traffic from what I've seen. And isn't it amazing that Valdez just looked just an absolute shadow of the fighter we've known in the past, and not taking anything away from Navarrete, because Navarrete got the job done in style, didn't he? It was very definitively, and really put Valdez to the sword. But it just, from what I've seen, the 5 minutes of highlights that I did watch, did look to me that Valdez just punch resistance is gone. He did get dropped by a body shot, which could happen to anyone, by the way, but the punch resistance just looked like it was gone. He's always been a worry of Valdez, and some of the shots he got dropped with, he wouldn't have got dropped with those types of shots a few years ago. It's just a shame to see, and unfortunately you just don't know it's over till it's over, do you? He would have got a little bit of confidence from earlier in the year with the win over Liam Wilson, but if we're being honest, Emmanuel Navarrete isn't Liam Wilson, with all due respect to Liam, and I just think Valdez really just got found out yesterday by a big, strong, hard-punching 130-pounder, and what are you doing there, Neil? And yeah, it just wasn't really a competitive fight from what I've seen. Come here, buddy. So yeah, you would think that would be it for Valdez. Interesting to see what's going to happen with Navarrete. Because what happens with him, I don't think there's any sort of big fights at 130 for him. I would think he would go back to 135 now he's got that win under his belt, and maybe he can recharge and sort of reload, I suppose, and just go for one of those premier lightweights, because there's a few out there at the moment, so maybe that's what he'll do. I just don't think there's much for him at 130, especially at this stage of his career. But yeah, it's just a shame to see what happened to Oscar, and I think that retirement looms for him. And you saw it a couple of weeks ago with Sonny Edwards over with his fight against Yafai, and after the second or third round, he just said, look, I don't want to be here, just like that. Now, he would have went through a whole training camp, he would have felt good, like probably he always has. Maybe there might have been a couple of moments where he maybe doubted where he was at, but you would think that most of these training camp would have been business as usual. And then he got in the ring, and as I said, after the second or third round, he said, I don't want to be here. That's how it can happen, and it's hard to explain, I suppose, to people that have never been in the ring before. And I know if there's a lot of you out there that have been boxers, especially at any sort of level, you would, and probably not just boxing actually, but it's probably a lot of different sports, but I can only talk about the boxing side of things, that again, as I said, you don't know it's over till it's over. And I've spoken about this in some of these stories I did about my career, and even though I was only an amateur, I'm not comparing myself to these guys, but when I explained when I went to the training camp at the OAS and got there, I felt $1 million when I got there. I was training the house down, so I really trained well over the Christmas period. I was ready to go and got the training camp and was flat as a tack, and I thought, that's it, career's over. That's how quick it can happen. The only difference here, of course, is that I was 20, excuse me, I was 23, 24 years old, where Sonny Edwards is obviously, I think, is he in his early 30s or something like that. But I suppose the point is, you just don't know where you're at until it's too late. And Sonny Edwards in the corner, it was sad to see. And he said, look, I don't want to be here. And it was probably hard for his trainer to get his head around. You would have seen him go, don't talk like that, just get out there. And I'm not sure whether his trainer has been at any level. He just didn't understand. And you could sort of tell the tone of his voice. He was like, what the hell are you talking about? Where I think if he had a more experienced and world-renowned type of trainer in his corner, he would have fully understood and maybe tried to work with him a little bit more mentally than what he did, rather than just saying, just shut up and just get on with it and, you know, don't talk so silly. You would have thought a Freddie Roach or one of those types of guys, or a Robert Garcia, would have recognised what was going on and tried to work with him mentally during the fight to try and get him through and motivate him enough just to keep going to maybe pull it out. You just don't know. You just don't know. So anyway, a couple other things before I go. What was Madrimov and Bohuchuk is off. No surprises there. Apparently, Madrimov is sick. Oh, look, if I'm being, I know, being around the fight game for so long, I think what's happened there is not sick. What's happened is that they've realised that the Ortiz fight is a bigger fight. It makes a lot more sense. And they have said to probably Bohuchuk, here's a little bit of green on the side. If you understand what I'm getting at, maybe just step aside, fight this other guy, and then we'll get you a big opportunity down the track. If Turkey LLC could have been saying, hey, to Bohuchuk, hey, this is what's going to happen. We're going to say Madrimov's sick. We're going to get you another fight. Don't panic. And I promise you next year, I will get you a world title fight or another big fight. Step aside and let the Ortiz and Madrimov fight each other. I think that's what would happen. I know they come out and do the press releases and everything like that, but I think it's pretty obvious that those have been around a while. That's what happened. So, and one final thing, not really something I like to talk about with the circus of boxing, but I don't know what's going on with this Tommy Fury and who's the MMA guy that's fighting? Darren Till. Apparently they were fighting in January. That's off now because his MMA or UFC, whatever it is. Now all of a sudden Tommy Fury's a little bit worried that during the fight that Till will resort to MMA style fighting, and if he's getting beaten, will kick Fury or armbar him or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. If you don't want that sort of to happen, well, how about fight a real boxer? That might be the first step to making sure this stuff doesn't happen instead of these circus fights. But anyway, that's about as much as I'm going to spend on that. All right, guys. Well, that'll do for today. Hope you, excuse me. I'll rug up today, I think. I've got a lot of work to do. But anyway, we move on. Guys, have a great day, and we'll catch you tomorrow.